Hey guys, how you guys doing? Hope everybody's doing great. Okay, Methylene, Texas. How's everybody doing on this Memorial Day weekend? Okay, how's the cap? Well, the cap's pretty strong today. That's gonna tell a lot, right? Okay, here we go. I'm actually having some lunch. I'm having a good hamburger in Oklahoma. It's called Brahms. Big hamburger, it's got tomato, lettuce, nice little hamburger, right? French fries. Yep, there you go. All right, so today's obviously it's been well advertised. We're going to have an outbreak of severe weather and tornadoes today. Yes, Brahms. Yes, so here we go, guys. Blue shade day. So anyway, so the Storm Prediction Center is issuing a moderate risk for a big chunk of Oklahoma and Kansas, down to just touching the north Red River area. So moderate risk today. Got to have an outbreak of severe weather, tornadoes, large hail. You can see you got a 15% chance over western Oklahoma, southern Kansas. Let's go to wind. Got a 45% chance east of Wichita, and 20-30% up on the Red River. Same with hail, big 45% chance up in Kansas here, and also down south in Red River. So that's kind of the outlook for right now. Let's go to satellite. It's one of the things that's happened overnight is that the dew points got a little bit suppressed down in North Texas and southern Oklahoma, a little bit farther south than normal. And as the morning goes on, the dew points are starting to surge back north now. You got 70 dew points now lining up just near the I-44 corridor near Lawton to south, just south of Norman now. And they come up here toward Tulsa. 70 dew points now coming in to the Tulsa area. You got mid-60 dew points now approaching northern Oklahoma, Ponca City, back to Enid, back to west central Oklahoma. So that continues to lift to the northwest. So again, good afternoon from Puerto Rico. So there's a jet core coming out today, and the jet core comes out of this Amarillo area across northwest Oklahoma. So there's two thoughts today. And the models have been, all the cams have been struggling this morning. The overnight cams, this morning's cams, they're all struggling on this moisture, and there is a cap over Oklahoma today. It's a substantial cap, but it probably will break. But there's a lot of things. So you got the boundary flooding north. It's across southern Oklahoma, central Oklahoma. It's flooding north, and as that continues to happen during the day, we heat up into the 90s, upper 80s, and then the next thing is the wave. Here comes the wave and the cold air loft. So let's talk about the Storm Prediction Center current outlook. What's going on right now, which is pretty amazing. You can see as the moisture comes up, you can see the Cape. We're still got a sin over western Oklahoma. We're still capped. And you can see that these capes are coming out there. I got 3,000 almost in Tulsa. It drops down. I got 6,000 cape now south of Wichita Falls, right? So you're building really high explosive air masses already underway now south of Wichita Falls. And if you go out, let's go out, 2 hours, 4 hours, and 6 hours. What's going to happen is, and this is 6 hours, this is at 6 o'clock tonight, these 4,000 and 5,000 capes are surging past the I-40 corridor, surging up into northwest Oklahoma. I've got supercells down here in the Red River area, probably either side of Vernon, Childress area. You got some supercells developing up south of Dodge. So as you have this mass flux of cape and dew point surging north, even currently right now, if you look at the current conditions right now, it's focused on tornadoes. This is the current tornado parameters right now as of 12 noon, it's called. From Tulsa back down to Ardmore and then back over the Red River Valley, this is kind of the leading edge of the tornado air mass. And this is going to continue to slowly vector to the north-northwest throughout the day. And the tornado parameters are very high now in the Seymour area, Abilene area. They're continuing to come north. That's for EF1, F0s to F1s. F2s, you can see that it's building down in northwest Texas again. Don't think we have any EF4s right now. We don't. The other thing I like to look at is on the composite. I look at significant tornadoes. Since I looked at this 20 minutes ago, it's up again. And that is, you got significant tornadoes. This is 8. It's a very high for noon. That's a very high number. It shows you the atmosphere at South Wichita Falls is extremely explosive, very tornadic already. This will continue to get this number go up, and this gun banner starts going to push north. So we look at a lot of parameters here. Supercell composite, that's current. It's 2. It's already really decent. And with time, it just continues to build. You'll see it's a 20 over southwest Oklahoma, and then it's a poke up in northwest Oklahoma as well, right? That's like at 6 o'clock tonight. So the parameters are there. Everything's in flood mode. and we'll watch. I think the most important thing today, there's a couple of things going on. Let's look at the 700 analysis. This is telling us where the 700 cap line is. It's breakable, but the 10 line's already coming up to Dodge. This is current conditions at 700. Its 10 line is up to Tulsa, and they got 12 lines approaching from the south. If we go out, I'm just going to go out of here at 4 to 6 hours. In 6 hours, the 10 line's still up in Kansas here. It's pretty far north. 12 line has come way far north. Look at this 12 line. That's kind of the leading edge of the mega cap, right? And you can see where that's at right there, the 12 line at just around 6 p.m. So you got to watch that today. The other thing I'm watching closely is a 500 millibar jet core and where that's coming out at. And I'm going to turn this off here. And basically what this is telling us is right now, this is current. You got 40, 50 knot jet core coming in down around the I-40 corridor. And then you see also got 50 knots up here in the Oklahoma Panhandle. And the jet core is back here in central and southeast New Mexico, central New Mexico. If we go out 6 hours, I'm just going to jump it ahead forward. In 6 hours, we've got a very strong jet core coming out of the Lubbock, Amarillo area, 60 to maybe 70 knot jet cores coming into western Oklahoma at 6 o'clock, coming into Weatherford, that general area, Weatherford to south of Enid, is a 70 knot jet core. And a lot of times, when you have these high profile, draw line and you got this and everything's in flood mode, generally you're wanting to be on the lower right corner of that. This would be the Red River Valley, the Lawton area, Wichita Falls. This is kind of the lower right-hand side of the jet core. Left-hand side is going to be along and north of I-40, southern Kansas down to I-40. This whole area is here in the left front part of the jet core. If you also notice that the mid-level temps, it's 8 degrees. It's a lot warmer down the Red River, but it's going to be breakable. It's 8 degrees at 500, 9 degrees at I-40, 10 minus 10 as you get north of I-40. And again, this is going to be about the 6 o'clock time frame. And the further north you go, 11, 12, 13. So you got a very cold dip here. You got a wave here coming out at 6 o'clock, right? So the warm front's flooding north. You got this dip here, and you're the left front jet core. So that is an interesting combination. I mean, it's got my alarm bells are going off all over this stuff, right? If you look at the effective tornado effective layer, which is currently, again, it's south of Red River, it's in the Seymour area. If you watch what happens during the day, it just slowly continues to ramp up, right? This is at 6 o'clock. It's very high in the Red River area. Again, Wichita Falls, Duncan area, west of Ardmore, punching up toward Enid. So this whole corridor from northwest Oklahoma down to southwest Oklahoma is very prime for tornado outbreak, right? And that's why, obviously, the moderate risk. I think as the day goes on, one of the things that the morning data is starting to pick up now, the models are all struggling. Doesn't matter which cam, and I've looked at other models that don't have access. The models don't all agree on this, but they're similar, and they're slowly starting to figure out what's going to happen today. So initially, we've got this extreme tornado mass down in northern Texas and southern Oklahoma right now currently, and part of that air mass, part of that warm front and everything continues to surge north to 60, 70 dew points underneath this jet core that's kind of coming out like this today. It's splitting, and this jet core, this big fat jet core is coming out like this, right? It's coming into western Oklahoma along the I-40 corridor. So we want to be on the right side of that, which is the Red River Valley, right? We know this is going to produce a violent tornado in the Red River Valley. That's a given. This is a given, right? It's now trying to figure out, and other cams have also done this too. I got 2 tornadic storms in Kansas. I'm a little bit cooler aloft up here, up in southern Kansas, about 3 to 5 degrees, both at 700 and 500, and I'm in the left front quadrant of the jet core. So I think the corridor up here from Wichita westward is going to verify. That's going to happen. Some of the cams that are public on site and some that are not, they're private access only. They're starting it with this idea that just around 7 o'clock when the jet really ramps up hard and you got this cape surging up high, that something gets going, kind of, I'm going to call it Cleo Springs area, and comes down the 412, maybe as far south as 51 corridor, but basically the 412 corridor. And Enid's one of the threat areas. So what I see happening as we get for that 7 o'clock time frame, I think we're going to be dealing with 2 or 3 very destructive tornadoes at 7 p.m., 7 to 8 o'clock time frame. One's going to be in the southwest Oklahoma, somewhere near the Red River, tracking east. There's going to be one somewhere coming out west of Enid, tracking toward Tulsa, that 10 o'clock time frame, and then some in southern Kansas. So I think we're going to end up with like 2 or 3 corridors of intense destructive tornadoes after 7 p.m. I haven't talked to Storm Prediction Center, but I wouldn't be surprised. They've been talking about the high risk today. 90% of this area, the moderate risk, is not going to see a storm at all, right? So 95% of the people they're going to be fine. It's like, it's sunny outside, right? It's like, hey, nothing bad's happening here. But wherever these storms form and get going, I'm not going to go over all the numbers, but they're at their limit I haven't seen before in 45 years. I mean, it's like EHIs of 22, it's helicity of 700 to 800. It's so outrageous. It's beyond outrageous, right? The atmosphere tonight, late today and tonight. So I wouldn't be surprised. And again, I respect the SPC a lot. And they're high and moderate. I agree with 100%. But I think once we get into that 5, 6, 7 o'clock time frame, and we actually see what areas convect, like do I have a storm at 7 o'clock going to Red River? Do I have tower and queue at these two locations? Do I've got, wherever those corridors are going to set up? I could possibly see SPC going to high risk, not for the whole area, but corridors of high risk. In other words, kind of like I think these three areas are going to be possibly the most destructive. So we come up with a high risk corridor for southern Kansas, one maybe along the 412 corridor, maybe one near the Red River. And I know it's kind of not normally how they do things. I think today being Memorial Day weekend, a lot of people at lakes and stuff, they probably would warrant it. But I think the general idea is thinking about, Dallas, you need to watch out. There's nothing given on these lines. They could move up or back and forth 50 miles. I mean, Dallas, you're just as much a threat as the river is. But this is the latest thinking, right? And I can show you models where there's no stripes at all in Oklahoma. They're either down in North Texas or they're in southern Kansas only. I'm just kind of telling you that this is the latest stuff that's just come out on HOR, and it jumps around, right? It's not perfect. Guys, this by no means, this is exactly where it's going to happen today, right? But the models are trying to, but anytime you get in a flooding warm front and a flooding 60, 70 dew points underneath an incredible jet core, then you're going to get bad things are going to happen. And I think the models are struggling to figure this out, but they're starting to slowly catch on. Again, I've got some other cams I'm at access to, and they definitely kind of have the same scenario. They have a really bad tornadic storm down here. They have a tornadic storm across southern Kansas, and three of the high-risk cams, the Nestle cams and some of the other private cams, say just to the left, this core up here, this jet core coming out, that something really bad comes out Clear Springs, goes down the Enid corridor, tracks over to Tulsa. So those are my three areas. I think there's going to be tornadoes today. Obviously, we're going to have probably PDS tornado watches out later today, and those are the main things. There's not a lot to cover, except that there's a moderate risk out. Storm Prediction Center is hitting it really hard. Matter of fact, if we read their latest outbreaks for storms late 7 tonight, it's going to go overnight, all night. Long-lived superstorms could put on intense tornadoes may occur, giant hail, destructive wind gusts. Yeah, so let's talk about hail and wind. So hail and wind, you're going to have not every storm, but the storms are going to produce softball to great foot-size hail. Might even see some 6-inch hail today on some of these storms, especially in the low-level jet ramps up. You got 5,000, 6,000 Cape. You're going to see some very strong, big gargantuan hail. Gorilla Hill, and they expanded the enhanced strong level of moisture advection northward across southern Oklahoma 16Z, strong lapse rates. Talking about initial storm development in northwest Texas, that's the area that's heating up down at the Red River. I draw a line towards Oklahoma, southern Kansas, rapidly returning moisture. Basically, it talks about just the conditions are set up rapidly along the warm front and across Kansas. Talking about different resolutions, different solutions, depending on which models you look at. Enhanced moderate risk for the areas late this afternoon. Strong, intense tornadoes, very large giant hail, significant winds remain possible, right? So that's basically the message, right? So it's gonna be kind of an outbreak today. And that's really about it. I mean, there's going to be 2 or 3 corridors that sets up. It starts producing violent tornadoes. You can see the moisture's coming. 70 dew points are now. It's 8270 now down in south of Lawton, down at Pauls Valley. It's 8270 now. It's 70s are coming up toward Norman, toward the I-44 corridor. Here's the jet core. You see the high winds coming out of the Texas Panhandle now. The wind's already starting to veer out in eastern New Mexico. The dew point fell from 40 to 20. Here comes the draw line, and you got 50 dew points are dropping down Texas Panhandle 83. So the thermal ridge is setting up out here. It's going to get in the 90s, maybe make mid-90s out here. And you can already see Q starting to form in multiple locations now. This northwest edge of the Q now is starting to come in northwest Oklahoma. It's low 60s, starting up here. Woodward, and that area is 52. Real low dew points right now. They'll continue to climb. So this is just a flooding, moisture and warm front, and storms are going to explode on the jet. So that's really it. It's Memorial Day weekend. Tornado watch comes out. Tornado warnings come out tonight. Watch your local TV stations. Listen to weather radio. Have backup radio. There's going to be very destructive tornadoes. I see 2 or 3 corridors: southern Oklahoma, North Texas, possibly just somewhere in north central Oklahoma, northwest of central Oklahoma, maybe even in northeast Oklahoma, and then southern Kansas. There's going to be 3 long, violent, destructive tornadoes. Is kind of the latest thinking, and that's going to be it. We'll stream live a little bit later today, and it really gets going after 7 o'clock. So it's right before dark, right after dark is when the bad stuff happens. So that's kind of a quick update for today. Hope everybody has a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. And I'm going to finish my hamburger here at Brahms and get ready for today's chase. We'll see what happens, okay? That's it from Oklahoma. And enjoy the weather, and it's a beautiful weekend here in the plains, and except for this little bit of bad stuff that's going to happen this evening. All right, guys, everybody be safe. Talk to you later. Thanks.